Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. We are here at the Rail, our home. They throw a lot of cool stuff. So if you want something to do, something to come out to, check out therail.net for all their events. But today's a special episode, actually. Like, this is episode 140, so we got a round number. And we got some cool people in the house, but repeat guests and then someone new. But yeah, what's going on, guys? Tell me who you are.
I'm Nick Rilund. I am a experimental instrumentalist and producer. I guess that's the only way I can really put it. And I'm here with my cousin,
Jacob, aka Reflex, on all streaming services.
But, we do pretty much all of our music together in some regard, whether we do it like I'll finish a track and then I'll send him hit, and then he'll help me like do mixing on it or production in some regard. It's not always the case, but like I would say 90% of the music we make usually bounce to each other in some regard, or we make with each other.
And this is also like pretty rare because you live out of state. Like, so where do you live right now?
I'm from, I live in Gresham, Oregon, but like,
Portland, Oregon.
I've been around Portland. Yeah, just say Portland.
Portland, yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
It's near Portland.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was one of the fascinating things when I first talked to Nick the first time, is the way you two write together. Like these like Discord sessions and like just live doing like the sessions and just sending them back and forth and recording. And honestly, that was like, I think the first time I had talked to someone who told me that they write that way. Now I've talked to a few more people that do it as well, and it's worked out for them, which we can talk about that later. Yeah. But let's talk to you, Jacob, first. Like, where does your like music journey start? Like, what do you start doing first?
Okay, so I was gonna say, I remembered back like in 2022, I started making music on GarageBand on my phone. Oh yeah, because I was very inspired by a bunch of like experimental stuff. Like, for example, the album "I Didn't Mean to Haunt You" by Quadeca was a huge influence. I've been a huge fan of his for a long time, but anyways, like I was listening to him, like JPEG Mafia type stuff like that. Okay. A bunch of like experimental stuff, and so I just went on there. I was like, whatever I make, it will sound creepy. Like it'll sound weird because I don't know how to make music. So so I just started making.
So by
stuff.
default, it's experimental.
Just like any like exactly.
If you don't know what you're doing, everything's experimental.
So I just like would grab random synths with a bunch of like reverb on them and just play whatever the hell I felt like. I'm not a musician. I've never known how to play like chords and stuff. So like I would just play whatever. And then I also started incorporating. So I have this album called The Abyss one on an old account called White Boy J. But that's where I started. And what was I gonna say? I would use like I've been beatboxing for a long time, so I would like use my beatboxing sounds into my music and stuff, just to like create atmosphere. It was super weird, but yeah,
interesting,
extremely experimental stuff that doesn't sound like.
You don't need to listen to White Boy J. Respectfully, listen to Reflex.
We'll bleep it out.
It's not important.
Don't listen to.
Okay, so yo, what's going on, guys? It's OC, your host for the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast, and I know what you're saying. Another ad on this podcast? Yes, but this one, you can help support the podcast. You might be seeing these beautiful Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast hats here on the table, where they're not just for decoration. We're selling these hoes, okay? This podcast, I don't get paid for this, so I need some money. Let's try to do that again. Less desperate. These hats look very cool, and it would be very cool of you to buy one to put on your head and look even more cool than you already do, all right? If you want to tell people that you have impeccable taste, that you listen to all types of music, and you listen to the best podcast in the entire world or tri-state area, or maybe just this area here, this is the best podcast in this room, probably, then you should get one of these hats so that you can help support a local business and a local podcast, and so you can help support artists to come here and talk shit, okay? That's the whole point of this. But yes, go to NoiseROT.com to pick out your Chill Sounds and Breakdowns hat or other merch. We got stickers, we got pins, pick something up, and thank you for supporting the podcast. I mean, you say not an instrument, like a musician, but I mean, I'd say beatboxing kind of counts in it because there's a lot of like rhythm and like syncopation and stuff like that you learn with that. So how long were you doing that before you started working on music?
Forever. Like really? I've been doing that since I was like probably 10 years old.
What grew that obsession, or to like?
One of my friends got me into it, and then I, as with anything, I got really into it. Started watching YouTube videos on it and stuff like that. So yeah, and then me and my cousin would do it all the time. Not this cousin,
the other cousin.
The other cousin.
Yeah. The nice thing is, I would say about like him being like super into like not only like hip hop and like the kind of experimental sound like that and beatboxing and stuff, it translates really well to making beats, like super well.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs off of his new project, Colors, which you're welcome. There's a song off of it. Yeah, I know. There's a song off of it called Novocaine, which is probably like my favorite song that he's done. And the entire song has like this really kind of crazy experimental beat that feels like almost like a kind of like a beatbox like kind of rhythm to start off with.
That's how I make my songs. Is like I have this like idea in my head for a beat, and I'll like go on a walk with my dogs, and then I'll like have this. I'll try to remember it by like beatboxing it, and then I'll get back to the house and I'll start on it like as soon as I
immediately.
Yeah.
That's a cool way to have like your jumping off point. Like you use what you have like to get like to get your writing like process started. Like me, like I think I related everything to, because I grew up playing like guitar, but like classical guitar. Okay. So now like I never knew how to play like electric or anything like that. So but all my like first melodies were okay through like a guitar in that way. But then when I started singing, everything was through like vocals. Like that's what I used to like, this is the sound that I need to make, like, or whatever. But I didn't know how to play anything else. So I couldn't tell like, my guitar player how to like, oh, this is this chord or whatever. Yeah. Like, no, like it sounds like this, or like this is going to be over. But beatboxing is a cool way to start. Like, I mean, because rhythm's going to be the backbone of your song anyway.
Yeah, I suck at rhythm, so that works. Yeah, I'm terrible at it.
It's hard, but it's the easiest thing, I think, for people to start to like feel a song or a track without knowing like what's happening. They're like, oh, this beat is cool. Like,
it's why you can go to
I was gonna say that's something I've always had, is just like an internal rhythm type thing. Like everything else hasn't come naturally, but that is the one thing. It's
like rhythm.
It's come naturally. So yeah,
I was gonna say it's like why dubstep. I feel like even if you don't really like EDM or dubstep, you can kind of still get into it because you can kind of just immediately kind of feel.
It's always got a bounce. Yeah, it's always like
yeah.
And he kind of uses that a lot in the music that we're working on. It's like the music that he does for Colors, and then a little bit for like electronic influence on the record we're working on right now. It's like, I wouldn't say there's not really EDM on it inherently, but there's still like a lot of electronic influence on it.
Very influenced by like EDM, experimental electronic stuff like that. So yeah, but.
All right.
So 2022 is when you really start getting into like experimenting with your own. When do you all start writing together? Like, how does that, like, hey, let's work on something?
2023, like it was like that next year.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't really do that for very long. I mean, I did it for like I just posted all kinds of stuff just as soon as I could, basically.
Yeah.
I was trying to get out of the early phase of releasing stuff as a creative person, basically, like trying to get out of that rut basically as soon as possible. That's not really how it works, but I was like maybe if I just release a ton of really bad stuff, then I'll just
something will be good after
get that out of my system,
Yeah.
The first project that we worked on was I was doing like a lot of guitar only, because I only knew how to play guitar really, other than like I knew how to play a little bit of bass, but I would go use the DAW sound trap, which I think I mentioned to you last time. And kind of plugged in everything I was playing onto there, or Audacity even. And then at one point, like after me showing him like, oh yeah, I can just play guitar like decently okay, I think, did I ask you, or did I tell you I'm going to borrow the song to play guitar over for Burn the Boats? Well, how was that process?
You were just like, hey, can you send me that? I want to try something. And I was like, sure, why not?
And it was like what would you call that genre?
I don't know. So originally it was like I don't even know what to
almost
call
like a
that
trap
song.
beat.
Yeah, it was just a trap beat pretty much that me and my friend worked on.
Yeah.
And because he had a different music taste coming in, he was like, I want to make this kind of beat, and so he just basically told me what to do, and we made it. And then he was like, hey, I want to do something over that, so he just
threw on,
like, send me that, and I was like, all right.
I just plugged in my Fender Mustang like electronic amp. It's like this big.
Yeah.
Just plug that directly into my Focusrite, and then threw on like just I think all in like one take, just like a minute long guitar solo over it. And Jake was like, okay, this kind of works.
It's like, this is insane.
It's a trap beat was like a minute long. Like I think I was like most inspired by like at the time like Brian May kind of from like Queen, and then also like I got really into Dance Gavin Dance to no surprise, which we've talked to. Which also last time I was here, I didn't have this. I got a Dance Gavin Dance tattoo. A little Death of a Strawberry. I don't know if it's on camera if you can see it at all, but yeah. So DGD is still kind of. To no surprise, my number one thing of kind of most like inspirational, but
Dang old Will Swan, baby.
Yeah, my boy.
Yeah, dude, that band's gone through a ton of different just weird shit. Like if we're even just talking musically, like their records have like these eras where it's just like, okay, they're doing this now, and it's like, okay, they're not doing they're doing this now. Like it's just a new thing. It's why like I know. It's why I ended up like falling in love with Dance Gavin Dance as a whole band, because like at first, like honestly, it was just because I found the EP first, like whatever I say is Royal Ocean, and like that's when like. And that was actually, I found Dance Gavin Dance after finding Amorosa.
Yeah.
I found Amorosa
that's right.
first.
Yeah,
and then I found that. And then, like, I was like, oh, okay. And so I was all like, oh, Johnny Craig. Like, I would listen to anything.
Comes back to Johnny Craig. We talked about it for like 30 minutes last time.
So I won't, like, stick on that too much. But, like, and then like, I was really resistant to, like, the self-titled album and, like, Happiness. And then Happiness came around, and I was just like, I kind of like this is really good. And I was just listening to someone like, okay, this is really good. And then Kurt was gone again, and then Johnny was back, and I'm like, okay, like I'll get into this too. But Johnny even with like, I think Tillian took like the most. I didn't like that first album on the first go.
It's funny that you say that because I had the exact like reverse experience with them. Like, first album I heard by them was Jacked by Juicer, like full. Like, first full project. Well, so one of my coworkers showed me Awkward, which was a weird first song to show me. And then I looked at that album and I saw Death of a Strawberry, and I was like, that's a much more interesting title. So I clicked on that one instead. And then I listened to that and I was like, okay, this is really good. And then a couple months went by basically, and then what's the song called? Die Another Day came out, the single. And I fell in love with that song when it came out. And then when the album came out, I was like ready for it. And
at that point, that's kind of when you and I both kind of like reached our like peak, like, okay, this is a band that I'm getting into. Really, and
I've like slowly worked my way back through their career.
I kind of did like flip flopping where I'd be like, oh, I haven't heard like, Blue Dream for like forever, but I knew all of DBM1 and all of Happiness and all of Death Star. And so I kind of just bounced around between albums, and eventually after a while, when we figured out that we both like really liked the artist, I don't think that you really kind of touched DGD for the sound and anything that we've been doing recently, because you kind of like shoegaze.
Me personally, no. I mean, I'm very influenced by a lot of hip hop and EDM stuff. So any like production tricks or stuff that you hear, it's very EDM influenced.
Which kind of, I mean, it's kind of sick that your influences or what you're using, like, direct influences into the music that you're creating aren't the same thing. You know what I mean? Like you're bringing like stuff while I'm telling you, like, I'm just a big fan of when shit like that comes together, and it comes together in a cool way, because you create these things that like are just new sounding. Like it just sounds like, oh, like this works. Like I don't know why like I like this, but it's all these elements from like these other things that you wouldn't put together. But
like for example, like Dimension, which we'll talk about more.
Dimension.
Dude, I want to say that first off, actual first time giving you praise for this. That song is so goddamn good. It's so good. We made it in one night. The entire song in one night. We hopped on call because he sent me like a synth initially.
Yeah, the first like synth on the song, the like really like thick sounding one.
Yeah.
I like had that. I think I chopped it up as a sample or something, and I was like, this is really cool. And so I was like, we started making this really like, it was originally very like synth oriented and like very like just electronic, and then we got like further and further down, and then I was like, what if you just like do this prog breakdown? I think you might have had the idea.
Yeah, because we had like this kind of big build up for like the first like minute of the song.
Like, what are we gonna do now?
And then there's like that kind of like the thumping kick drum, and I had like the chugs coming in. Yeah. And then I was like, what do I do next? Like, I don't know. You're the guitar player. And so then we wrote that breakdown, and then we finished the whole song. I think the only thing that I did after that first night was, I think I just added bass to it, added screams, and then re-recorded the guitar solo. But other than that, like, the entire song came together, the entire demo track came together in one night. And what you hear on the record or the single, other than your vocals and my vocals, effectively is the exact same as when we first made it.
Yeah.
Which is bonkers.
That's crazy that it came together like that quickly. That full and that solidified of what the song actually is. Like, that's so fucking rare. That you keep the shit that you wrote that first night. Like, even if the inspiration is really good, like, the fact that you kept, like, again, essentially almost like the entire part of it is like, that's super rare.
And
that's how we used to do all of our like songs. It's just one night. Basically it is like we would create basically the entire song in one night and then just touch up things later. But I kind of liked that before because it felt easier to just like stay in that space, you know?
Yeah.
And keep making it rather than come back and try to get myself back into that headspace.
Especially like the song way later.
Yeah, because I listen to music all the time, so I get inspired by different things every day. So like, and like I just listen to all kinds of stuff. So like it's hard to get back into the same sound as that song. Yeah. So,
which I mean does work out well because another track that you might or may not be on later down the line came together effectively, I think like 6 months after we finished every other song off of the album. Like the last track on the record that we're working on right now, we finished I think it was like 6 months like to the date after we finished like every other song instrumentally. We had like the full 15 songs on the album. We're like, what if we just do like one more? And so that's why when eventually you'll hear it, when it comes out, it sounds the most polished instrumentally is because it was. We had 6 months to work on production and learn how we did things and worked on other projects and tracks, and then we came back to the record and did that last song on it. But I was going to say, though, did you want to talk about Cosmic Gourd? The album, Lieutenant Garlic and Sergeant Strawberry versus the Cosmic Gourd.
Yeah.
This is the best.
So that was our first like full project. It was like a kind of like a dream idea, and we're like, what if we had this huge project of just a bunch of like experimental like prog rock type stuff? Because so we started making this the first time I came. Was it the second time I came down to Texas?
Yeah. What was the first song that we made on that one?
It was Sleeping Dogs. I'm pretty sure.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like this really like weird dissonant rock song.
Doesn't work at all.
Not very good, but I mean it was very interesting sounding. But yeah, we had a bunch of different styles on that album. Like it's all over the place. It's so ridiculous, but
I think that like most of the songs came together in the same way that Burn the Boats did, where it was like you make the beat and that's like I'll play guitar over it.
That's why it sounds the way it does.
Well, I think like projects like that let you get out all those ideas, whether they're like quote unquote good or bad.
Yeah.
Like you get to put those ideas out there. Then next project comes around, it's like, oh, I know how better like I can work these into. Like, exactly. Oh, I know how to make sense of these now, you know. But one thing you mentioned earlier when you were talking about like trying to get over the rut of just like releasing stuff, like that gets a lot of people, and a lot of people won't release shit like for you know, ever a long time. And then like you were saying about striking, when like the idea, when you actually have that inspiration, or where you understand like what you're trying to write, like when you guys are writing like almost, you know, in a single day, but going like months or even years without touching like this song, you kind of like lose what you were trying to do with it. And you're like, oh, I don't remember. Then you work on it again and it becomes something completely different. So
exactly,
which again could be a good or bad thing, but I think there is something really nice about completing something and then, all right, let's actually put it out. You know what I mean? And then move on to whatever we're doing next. Like, again, use whatever worked, what didn't work, what you like, what you didn't like, and then use that on the next thing, you know, versus like dwelling on like, how do I nail it on this one track here and now? And again, sometimes you don't have the, you know, the you know, the knowledge yet or the experience yet to figure it out, and then it'll just leave you stuck, and you get in that route where you don't release anything at all, and you're stuck because you're trying to figure it out. But yeah, no, I think it's super cool how you work together. It just works really like nicely, and it's cool that you found it in like again within your own family, like to hey, let's work on stuff
super
together.
Convenient. I think what you were saying about like kind of just like making a song and then just releasing it. One of the first songs we put out together, was it the first song? Strange. Was that the first song we put out together? Because I don't think.
Well, besides Burn the Boats, but.
Oh yeah, probably yeah. Well, because Cosmic Chord I think came out after Glorified Noise, I think.
I don't remember. Anyways,
anyway, yeah, we made.
You want to talk about Strange? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the songs we did first was in that same vein. We hopped on call and just started from scratch. No ideas, no nothing. And then he sent a sample over and was like, do you like this guitar?
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, I'm getting carried away. Go ahead.
Before we're talking about, so the reason why that song exists is because I had just gotten Splice, I think. Yeah. So before, so we made this after we made everything on Cosmic Gourd. Yeah. Or it was like in between.
Yeah, more or less.
Either way. I had been using samples off of Soundtrap, which were really bad, like not great, and they sounded super weird because they would try to conform to the BPM of the song. So like if there's a drum loop, say it would sound really slowed down and choppy because it was slowed down like from what it was originally. But it wouldn't tell you that. It would just be like, here's your sample, it works perfectly, right? But either way, so I'd just gotten Splice, and I had also just gotten into shoegaze, like right before that, because I was with our other cousin, and I had smoked a bunch of weed, and I listened to the album Souvlaki by Slowdive.
Okay.
I got really into it. I was like, this is amazing. This is the best thing that's ever been made. I was like, I totally understand why people are into shoegaze now. Yeah. And then basically I was like fresh off of that, and I just gotten Splice, and I had all these shoegaze samples to work with. And I was like,
that's right, yeah.
I want to make a shoegaze song. And so
I did not even know what shoegaze was.
I told him that, and he was like, sure, I guess. And
I don't know what it is, but sure, I'm in.
I'll do whatever. So I just laid down a bunch of samples, and for some reason at the time, my writing process was like, sample here, different sample, just like completely different sound on the next bar.
Yeah.
So that's why that song sounds the way it does. But
yeah, that's why you'll have like a normal kind of ambient. Like huge sounding like
I feel like it changes keys a couple times too.
It changes keys like 4 times. It sucks to record over, by the way. It took me, I was like, why does it sound wrong? Oh, it's because we're in E flat minor now. Okay, we're just in C major.
And I was like, yeah,
it's cool, deal with it.
That's the way it is.
But it would go from like a fairly normal sounding like the intro has got like this kind of like wide sounding like acoustic guitar or electric guitar with like a lot of reverb on it, and then there's just like a Phil Collins drum break out of nowhere, completely out of nowhere, and then it goes into like this really weird upbeat like I don't even know, like dream pop kind of sounding idea.
It fades into dream pop at certain points,
and then there's like this weird orchestral bit, and then there's like an ambient bit, and then there's a grunge bit at the end. Like it just changes genres.
There's so many different ideas that I wanted to try out, and I wanted to do them right then.
All in the same song.
Oh yeah.
It's like I have 5 ideas, and we're gonna get them all done in this one track.
It's exactly why it sounds like that. So it's like cool, but it's not good.
So what is it? I mean, how does it feel like writing in this way, like in a way to just experiment? Like how, I think it's a little bit possibly different than maybe a band or an artist who's writing like with a specific purpose, just to like, oh, this song needs to be this popular, this and that. But you're really, like, from what you're describing, you're writing just to see like how you can create, like, or how you can put these ideas onto something, or just even just wanting to put these ideas down and just figuring out how to work them. Like what's kind of the motivation behind like writing in that way?
Well, to learn new things production wise, like to learn new tricks, new things that sound interesting together. And was the question like what, like why, or
kind of why? And then like I was leading into like what is your goal with like your music?
It's a great question.
Goal, like in the future, like down the line,
just like, I mean, anything. Like it could be like, oh, I'm I want to tour, or I want to just keep creating, or I want to work with a bunch of this type of artist, or something like that. I mean,
I want to be in a band, but I don't really have any of the qualifications for that at the moment. But I also want to be a producer, so I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of seeing where it takes me right now. But
I mean, that kind of makes sense. If you want to be a producer, the more you experiment, the more like that's going to be easy for you to bring those ideas to like what you're producing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that ties in together like perfectly.
It helps with him also having like the opposite music tastes as I do, because I'm now learning how to do like EDM and electronic and dubstep and shoegaze producing tricks when I would have never ever tried to learn how to do dubstep or EDM or shoegaze in any regard. I think that's the kind of like the biggest thing about like why I like having friends who make different music, like vastly different music, is because even though can't relate to like my friend Lily, for example, off of Serendipity, loves like Clairo and Faye Webster and like these kind of like these very like kind of like soft girl indie music, like indie pop songs. I don't listen to that at all, but she asked me to help her on a track, and then when she came on to work on Serendipity, I kind of learned how to bring those vocal styles over and learn how to do production like that for this like dream pop song. And so that kind of like that's like all the songs, or like for AZ on Matrix, he's like a like what do you call his music?
Well,
we'll get to that more.
It's like,
but like
Playboy Cardi type stuff.
Yeah.
That's what he makes.
And then we threw him on a shoegaze song.
So what happened with that is actually I wanted to make a beat for him because like I had been getting better at making beats and stuff, and he's a rapper, and I knew him. I worked with him at Wall Street Pizza in downtown Gresham. It's a spot in Oregon.
Go there, it's very good.
Anyways, I worked with him for a while, and I knew that he made music, and he knew I made music. We would show each other stuff and stuff like that. And then he quit, and then I quit later on, and then I was like, I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, I want to make a beat for you," and he was, and I was like, "What kind of beats are you working with right now?" And he said, "Indie rock and psych rock," and I was like, "What?"
I was like, "What?"
That's not what I did.
I was like, "That's perfect," because we're making like a shoegaze, like kind of psych rock album. And so he was like, "All right, let's go." And so we
made the beat.
We hopped on Discord, all three of us, and then we made the beat for about 2 hours. And
I don't
then we
think
watched
anything's different off of the studio or the final release for instrumental.
Not really. No, it was all done in that night too. But yeah, and then we watched him record over it for like a couple hours.
He would do a take and then mess up and go. And you'd hear delay and bounce off, and he pulled up, really I think, FL.
So y'all all three got on the call and like made it that. Yeah. That's so fun.
None of us were together in the room. I think there's been like a quarter of our, not even that, like maybe like 10% of our discography was made in the same room as each other.
Yeah. That's freaking crazy.
Wild. That was so entertaining for us watching him record over it.
We've never been able to do that before.
Never done that before. And like just him like retracking things. He was using FL, so like it was completely different looking for us too.
It was like watching him work.
Watching him like record different tracks over and try out different ideas. You're like, this is so cool.
I think
that's fucking sick.
To answer your initial question of like what's the kind of long-term goal for like me, it's definitely like just working with whoever on whatever. If I can make if I can make them sound good on a track, I want to do it. I don't care if it doesn't pay at all. I don't care if I need to work at Olive Garden for the rest of my life. I don't care. I think that working with like what we're doing right now for this record is so much fun, with the idea of like when you hopped on call, or not, when you sent me Dimensions vocals, we were on call just like working on stuff, and I was at work and you sent me the file, and I texted him, I was like, when I get off, the minute I get home, we're hopping on, we're gonna talk about this song. So they booted up the vocals, put it on there, and then the entire time we were just like, what? He did this?
Like, holy crap.
I was so fucking nervous. Like, I was like, just render it out, send it. Like, I'll send it to me. Like, I'll just send
vocals I've ever heard, like, for a song that we've made.
It's crazy.
I thank DJ a lot for that. We like I said, we worked on stuff together.
Shout out
for like
DJ,
a lot. Shout out DJ, who like runs NoiseROT with me. We had a band before, so we've recorded like just demos and stuff like that before. So he knows how to like pull the right takes like out of me, and again he's just been working on like tracking and mixing and stuff like that, so he also knows, and he's worked with my voice probably a little bit more than like anything else, so he kind of knows how to nail it like at the
that's
point.
cool.
And I was just like when he showed me, I'm like, damn, that's me. I was like, okay. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, we tracked that in the living room.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's the same thing for us, is like, we'll hear those songs and be like, I can't believe we made that. Like, it doesn't sound like something we made, but
especially after giving it like a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Like every now and then, like I'll, because because I have a couple friends who've added a handful of my songs onto like their playlists and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll like shuffle like their metalcore playlist, and I hear like the opening notes of Dimension. I'm like, what? That's me.
Yeah,
what? I know that one.
Wait, I'll talk about that because I remember you. Which we'll get into the album, because that's the newest thing we're going to come out. But yeah, you sent me, and it was so random. I mean, we knew each other like just barely at the time.
We met each other at one show.
Yeah, and we had like we had followed each other, and we're like, cool. And then you had posted like,
dude.
oh, like I need someone to hop. I'm like, you're gonna have a bunch of people. Like I'm like.
2 people asked for a song.
I literally was like, you're gonna have a bunch of people say like that. That you're like, oh, I'm gonna go with them, not me, a stranger who you don't know, like didn't even know that I did music or whatever before. I'm just like, hey, like, if you want to send me some stuff, like I'll look at it.
Well, the funniest thing was like you sent me. You're like, yeah, I'll try vocals, and I'm like, sure, okay. I don't really know what your vocals are. Like. You sent me one of your tracks. It was the last song off the EP that you recorded.
Oh, yeah. Wasted Ages.
I listened to it in the car on like I was with someone, and I had 2 different people in the car. I was like, I had it kind of like set to low, and we were driving home, and I was like, oh, this guy's got kind of good vocal. This guy's got pretty good vocals. And then I completely forgot that you asked to be on that song. And then like a week and a half went by, and I was like, I think I asked for a follow up, but I was like, oh yeah, I just want to like make sure like things are actually gonna work out. And then you're like, yeah, I'm tracking right now. I'll get back to you like later. And like 2 or 3 days went by, and I remembered, and I was like, oh yeah. You sent it to me. I was at work and got home, and I was like, I don't know what this is gonna sound like at all. I have no idea what this is gonna sound like. And then we listened to it, and then our minds were just blown.
It was blown
great.
away.
Dimension, because you sent me 2 songs. You sent me something else before. Yeah.
Hollow, yeah.
And I was like, okay, and I was trying to like figure it out, and then you're like, oh, I also have this, and I heard that beginning synth you were talking about earlier. I heard that, and I'm like, I want this. I didn't finish it like initially when I was like, because that it just already sounded really fucking cool.
You picked correctly.
Yeah.
Hollow's a weird ass song.
Yeah,
but yeah, because I was listening to Hollow, like, okay, like I think I can get this, and yeah, I just heard the beginning little like synth intro to Dimension, and I'm like, this sounds so fucking cool already, like all of it. And I'm just like, yeah, I need this. And then like getting down to writing it, I was just like, I don't like subject matter. Like I was like, okay, I know the kind of the subject matter. Like we can just sit down. And I think I was like avoiding it because there was a lot of pressure for like a while. I was just listening to it, but I wasn't like, I'm not gonna write to it. And out of fucking nowhere, I set up in the old podcast room, and I'm just like, my laptop, I don't know how to fucking try. I know how to like hit record on the shit, and I don't do anything fancy. So we could never do a call. You'd see my garage band and just the one mic input, and then a random setting that I found on YouTube. But I was like, I just need to get the idea down, and I sat there, and it took like an hour. And then like I wrote like all of it, and I'm just like, I don't know, word, like lyrics and everything. And I'm like, cool.
You just like wrote as you were going, like
I wrote like a melody. Sick, and then I'm like, I can't remember what word or what I wrote initially.
The screams either. It was awesome.
Consume, create, repeat. Is that that what you're talking
about? Yeah. That's I wrote that, and I'm like, okay, I want to use it, and I was like, I can use it in the screams, but I'm usually pretty like. It's easier for me to write like screams because I like just rhythms and stuff like that. Yeah. So again, like I'm like, okay, I can figure that out.
Yeah.
So that came out first, and I'm like, I can use these again, and like okay, let me go back to the beginning, and then I wrote like it kind of bounced around because then I went back and wrote like the part right after the screams, what I call a chorus, not really a chorus, but
it's not really a chorus.
Yeah, not really a chorus. It's like what happens one time. But then I wrote that. Then I went back and wrote like some more at the beginning, and then like so it was a weird like balance. But I'm just like, cool. I'm just here and it's working, so I'll just keep doing it. But yeah, in tracking, it just all worked out. I like again, thank you for the opportunity for that because that was
thank you for
fun.
Going above and beyond. I mean,
super fun. But
that's my dad's favorite song. That
Oh really?
Yeah. Shout out. That's also my girlfriend's favorite song we made. She's always like, that's peak right there.
I put it on the car, and my dad was like, "This is amazing," because like he loves that sort of like vocal style, like the
Johnny Craig type shit.
Yeah.
That shit's in there. It's forever gonna be in there.
Yeah, like emo influence, kind of like metal type stuff. Yeah,
that's literally all I've ever done. Like when I nailed like what I like doing vocally, I'm like, these two things.
It works.
This makes sense. Which the quote unquote, I don't know if. So we'll talk about the album before I get to that. But yeah, the album Artificial Energy is something you're working at. You said currently it's sitting at like 16 possibly,
more or less. We'll say about
the working order is about 16 tracks.
We're working through the track list right now.
So is this again, like, is this another like what was like your purpose behind this project? Was it just like, let's continue doing what we're doing, or like, are we going in there with a little bit more of like a baseline, I guess?
So, okay. So the way it started is actually with Serendipity. I made
Is that the first song of the album?
Yeah, that's the first
crazy.
song.
Okay.
So
great song.
That one, or actually there was a demo before that, but it was like at the time they were just numbers.
Yeah,
all of them were just numbers.
Like number one,
I think
number two.
Serendipity was 2, or no, Hollow was 2. I think.
Yeah, I think Serendipity was 5. I'm pretty sure. I think
whatever. Either
doesn't
way,
matter, doesn't matter.
That was the first song we had actually fleshed out. Like it was a bunch of demos before that, but that was like me just like trying this experimental shoegaze type thing. Like I took the ideas from the first album, or like from the EP, the
Glorified Noise.
Yeah, from the like the shoegaze sort of sound, because that was right before this too, or it's like kind of around the same time.
Yeah, it was around the same time.
Either way, I just like had kind of taken that, and then like I was like, what if I do these cool production things? Like at the end, I have it like panning left and right, like and like going on and off, kind of, like rhythmically. But yeah, so I was just like, this is really cool. I like this a lot. And then you put some guitars over it and stuff.
Wasn't a lot on Serendipity.
Wasn't a whole lot,
yeah.
but and then later on, we had the idea for the side chained kick at the start. That like just. Yeah, it's my favorite part of the whole song. It's so good. But yeah, and then I don't remember what else we did from there. But the idea of the album wasn't there. It
wasn't planned at that point.
Okay.
The first like song or two, I think really.
I think I had just said, "Do you want to make a shoegaze album with me?" That was like the whole point.
Sure.
Was like,
I
"Do you want to make a full project instead of just a EP?"
Well, because Glorified Noise came out, and then. After we listened to it a couple times, and this was like, because whenever you make something for the first time, you're like, this is the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Like, this is peak.
Yeah,
as it should
sure.
be. Yeah.
We listened to that EP. I listened to it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I was so obsessed with like, I know that this is not a genre I like. I didn't think I would make it initially.
I know that this is not a genre, but
yeah, I know
the quote.
Yeah, I know that,
but it's good. Okay, it doesn't matter.
I knew that was not something I was really familiar with, and so I didn't. The thing I like doing is going into making music that I don't already have a preconceived notion on how to make it. It's so like with shoegaze, I don't listen to Slowdive, I don't listen to Loathe, I don't listen to Flesh Water.
He nails it.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
But he was like, try some reverb stuff with like a ton of delay on it, ton of reverb.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And so that pedal board that his dad gave me initially.
I was gonna say, it all comes back to the.
I was gonna ask. Was it your dad who gave
it?
It
all comes back to the church settings on the pedal board.
Like, yeah, that's right.
The worship.
I don't know if I brought that up or yet.
No, you didn't. I don't think
so. So his dad played in a worship band for forever, and he had this pedal, the Helix pedal board, and all the presets that were on there were made for like contemporary Christian worship music.
Yeah.
So really spacey,
super
for, like,
reverby,
super reverby.
Yeah. Delay,
meant to be like, if you've ever listened to like gone to like a church sermon and you just sat down and listened to like whatever the guitarist is playing, he'll play like one note and it'll go like way over there and the way over here. They have like a weird, like a huge.
It kind of makes
effect
sense.
change
Now that I think about it, that shoegaze is rooted in worship music. Like,
is it?
I mean, it makes sense.
Sounds like it, yeah. But I threw on one distortion at the very, very beginning of that blockchain, and then I got the tone exactly that I was looking for. And I think the one guitar tone I've been using was on like the entire record. If you listen to the entire album, you'll hear me play the same guitar tone on the entire thing. On like any clean guitar parts, you'll hear that. But I effectively did that and just went crazy. I'm basically for the guitar nerds. It's a compressor into a give or take, because again it's the Helix. It's a screamer pedal into like I think 6 reverbs. I think coded in different ways. So there's
sounds about right.
Yeah. The amp was like a Fender Deluxe Sim, and I don't remember the IR that I was using off the record. But I use a fuzz, I use a boost, and I use a screamer to get all the distortions that you hear on the entire thing. And what I tried to do for the first couple songs was I did an offset delay. So I'll set the metronome to like 120, no matter what the song is.
Yeah.
And so the delay on the guitar will be completely off on what the rest of the song is on purpose. So it kind of fills that air in like a different, not cleanly rhythmic way.
Okay.
And so whenever you listen to, I think it would be. What song was it that I have? I know Serendipity does that a little bit.
I was like, Serendipity does it at the beginning, doesn't it? Like the
kind of weird
when it switches to the like I feel like the
Matrix does that also with the guitars in the intro, and it's kind of like the weird offset.
That was a lot of the stuff on the album because that's what I liked. So I was like, yes, keep that,
keep that. I know that on. What song is it? Annihilation. I do that a little bit with kind of like weird delays. Annihilation is the next song that probably will be released. We're working on vocals right now. My girlfriend is tracking it. Then the other single, not single, but Translucent. I know I do that a couple times on the thing as well, where I'll do like a reverse reverb into a swell delay where I'll play a note and it'll basically bounce but get progressively louder per note, and then after that trails off, it'll be a reverse reverb into itself. Yeah. So it sounds like ridiculously huge out of nowhere. But that church setting that I use, I tried a couple different effects, but I stuck with one. I don't remember what it was. But that is the kind of core of the entire record, was I stuck with that one thing, and I was like, if it's not broke, I won't fix it. And so that's what you hear on the entire record, and he liked it, and I was like, cool.
That's kind of how we got the sound for the record, was like I would start with a bunch of different like grunge shoegaze samples, because I was still in that like space where I was like, I want to use all these these samples that I have access to now, and that's kind of like the root of every song is like those samples, and then he would like just start riffing over it with his guitar, and then like it just kind of would go from there. A lot of them would start with both of us, or like I would lay down a couple samples for like a bar or two, and then we would build intro. It together. So like that's kind of how that album is different than Cosmic Gourd, was that it's both of us kind of producing together at the same time.
Okay.
And go on, sorry.
I was just gonna say that all of Cosmic Gourd is like me making an entire beat and then him riffing over it. So that's why it's different.
Gotcha.
Minus like one song effectively off that first record. But the good thing is, because now the more and more we made the album, so kind of the track listing kind of bounces around. So like the first song was Serendipity. I think the next was Neurochemistry, which came out I think December-ish. I think that was like the second or third one we did for the record, other than the songs that got cut.
Serendipity is?
No, Neurochemistry.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty early. Yeah.
It kind of bounced around on the final track.
I think that was number 3.
I think so. Heart was one of them too.
I'm glad we changed the names pretty early on.
It was kind of confusing.
Like 3?
One's number 12.
Wait, 3 was Heart. You're right.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Because they're not in order anymore.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, they're not.
Oh God, I was gonna say that. Lost my train of thought entirely. Oh yeah. So like while we're making the songs, the more progressively like later and later on the album we went, the producing tricks and tips I learned from him while he was doing it, because he was super into like Loathe and Fleshwater and stuff like that. He picked up on that, started using on the music on like Serendipity and Neurochemistry, for example. And I was I want to learn how to do that. And so
that's a huge inspiration. Is we went to the Sick New World 2024, and then I saw Loathe live there. Nice. And I
totally forgot they played there entirely.
I got so into their music after that. So like a lot of the ambient stuff on that record is very influenced by Loathe, and like some of the like just how they play with negative space, and like just like a bunch of like ambient stuff in between breakdowns and stuff like that. That's definitely where
I've always admired that use of space a lot, because initially when I began writing, I was very like, you have to fill every one of these, like there can't be like lull, like to me I kept calling them lulls. I was like, there's nothing happening here. Like, I have to, so like vocally I was trying to just put vocals on everything, and then like some of the bands that like really like got into them, like
DBM 2.
Exactly, like they couldn't shut up, dude. It was except for like little parts, but then I started getting more and more into that, like that atmospheric thing. I was like, oh, this is just like, I was having like these moments with like songs that had just this space and like this real like ambient sounds, and just having like goosebump moments where like you feel like nothing's happening, but like it's touching some part of like my brain.
You know,
and I'm just
Invent
like, oh,
Animate?
this is fucking great. Yeah,
that's one of my favorite bands right now. Is like the way they have the really chuggy guitar in between like just a atmospheric ambient spot, and then it just comes back in out of nowhere.
That's kind of also, it reminds me, it's like Sleep Token has also been like probably the number one influence recently.
That was the big one that got me into like that idea of space.
For Dimension?
Like for Dimension. Well, I guess for Dimension, like the last part is really where I took like some but like anything with like really enjoying space and ambient sound was like a lot of like the earlier like Sleep Token stuff. Because I think the first thing I heard from them was a song called Jericho.
Oh, that's a good song.
Jericho's so good.
And it was again, it's got this, it's just a fucking piano that starts this song and it goes on forever and it's long. And I'm like, and I had two experiences with the song. I heard it the one time and I'm like, it's okay. Yeah. But I was driving and I think I wasn't paying attention. I was like, I was somewhere really new and I was like doing, and then I just, because I tell you, because someone sent it to me and like, he's like, I think you'd really like this. And I'm just like, okay. And then like, I remember like ignoring it and being like, oh, yeah, it's pretty good, blah, blah, blah. And then it happened to pop up like maybe a month later. And I think I sent it back to them and I'm like, this is really good. You should listen to this. Like, I sent this to you. And I'm just like, oh, but like, yeah, I don't know whether it was like my rediscovery of it, but then that's when like the rabbit hole happened. And I'm just like, I'm fucking obsessed. And at the time they had like 7 songs total. Yeah. Because like the first 2 EPs and they had Jaws. Okay. And they had Jaws.
This guy's not a poser.
So I was just like, this ain't enough. Like, but yeah, a lot of their songs like experimented with that. Like just, again, these giant moments of space where there's nothing overtly like happening, but it is, you know, like, I don't know, there's something, that just invoke like these reactions with just this really like giant like space.
I love those early EPs. They're so good. Like, but same thing with Dance Gavin Dance. I had to work backwards because I
didn't know.
The first song I heard by them was either The Offering or The Summoning. But I heard both of them because my dad was getting into them. He heard The Summoning off of TikTok and was like, holy crap, this is insane. And so he started listening after that. I don't remember if he showed it to me immediately, but he would just play it in his car all the time. That's my dad's favorite band for sure. But like, so I got into them, but I didn't get like heavy into them until like kind of recently because it was my dad's favorite band. I was like, he can, you know, and he plays it all the time. So I was like, I'll just listen to it whenever I'm in the car with him, you know? But from these new singles and just like listening to Take Me Back to Eden over and over again, it's like,
there's not a lot of bands that I have been there like at the start. But they're the ones that I have, like, I tend to stick around, like,
for sure.
But there's, like, some, I always have, like, gaps in my, like, musical knowledge. Because there's, like, some where people are like, you don't know this band? Like, or I forgot what someone, I think Mayday Parade is a big one that keeps bringing up to me. And I'm just like, I just heard them when I went to When We Were Young. Like, you know, like, and I'm like, they're it was good, but like they're early, and then like I worked my way back, and like their early stuff is what I really like, but it's like this other vocalist that's not even there anymore, and I'm like, okay, like I was like, what? But it's funny to me because there's some that like I played in a metalcore band, and people always bring all the time. It's like, oh, like so you like Asking Alexandria? I was like, I've never heard of them. Like, I missed them completely. Like, you know what I mean? But they're like, that's like one of the big, like that's what.
But again, that's the good thing of like you're not taking ideas from other people. You're coming up with fresh ideas.
Well, that's my big thing. Like when it was to writing music, is I never wanted to just listen to that genre to write that genre. Yeah. Because like it bleeds over so easily and quickly where you're like, oh, I'm writing the same thing. Yeah. So I would take like my cadences for like some of my screams and stuff all came from like hip hop cadences. Like I'm like, I like. Really? So I would take like
maybe that's why I like it rhythm, so much.
You know what I mean? So rap rhythms and stuff like that. Like for flows, I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Like you could just scream.
What are some names? What are some big inspirations in hip hop space?
In hip hop space, man, growing up, it's kind of gone all over.
Yeah. I'm a huge hip hop fan, so
you'll know more.
Early on, like my friends are who got me into like hip hop. So like, they showed me. I think Tupac was their big one, and then I got into like Eminem. Eminem was a big one with like rhythm of like just words and like being able to use that. And then, like, I mean, more recently, like stuff like J. Cole. I'm not like super big into it, but J. Cole's like flows and stuff is what kind of calls my attention a little bit more.
he's really good at writing the beat and like just like flowing.
So again,
over
when we take it back to like pockets and like rhythm and stuff like that is what really draws my attention. And like I've really one of the like unorthodox, which you brought earlier, like the JPEG Mafia like tape with Danny Brown.
Was Scaring the Host.
That's been a huge
Scaring the Host was fucking great.
It's
I thought I was gonna hate it. I don't know why, because like I saw Danny Brown randomly, because Childish Gambino was another big one when he was like early on into his rapping, but he came through and I saw him with Danny Brown and I was like, and I remember Danny had just released an album. I can't remember what it's called.
So Danny opened for Childish Gambino? Oh wow,
yeah,
that would have been great.
Yeah, Childish Gambino. I think it just released Camp.
Oh, dude!
Yeah,
he loves that album.
I do. Yeah, I'm not really big into hip hop or like rap at all, but almost everything, my inspiration, or not inspiration, but like the things I know from hip hop and rap, 90% of it comes from him, and like 80% of it comes from him, and like 20% comes from my girlfriend, because they both have like very similar, like they both like hip hop and rap a lot, and I'm unfamiliar. I don't listen for lyrics. That's the biggest thing. I'm an instrumentalist. I'm a producer. I listen to the instruments.
I don't either. I listen for rhythm, like you were saying before.
It takes quite a bit for me to go like, unless it's like something I happen to catch, but a lot of time I'm just trying to catch vibes, man.
Yeah,
so
that's what it is too.
It's a lot of it, and I like it's like when I was younger, like I would. Oh, I need to know what they're saying here, and now I'm like, I don't care.
I don't care.
Like I feel it. Like it's here. It sounds good.
That's the funny thing. I try to show my mom music, right? And every time I do, she's like listening exactly to what they're saying, like specifically,
picking up on everything.
And she's like, that's not a very good lyric. And I'm like, I didn't even know that existed.
No, because I bring up, I think who did I roast? I'm like, I roast The Weeknd a lot. I love The Weeknd, but like he says some cringy ass shit sometimes, and I'm like, he can do that because he can sing like that. Him and like who's the other guy that is?
He's been a decently big influence on my production.
Yeah, like, that's just been all fucking over the place too. That's another one that like I happened to get on before like he released like Trilogy, like when they were EPs or whatever. Is when somebody again, like luckily like people have shown me, and I've never been like finger on the pulse of like new people coming up, but I've known people that do. So somebody showed me, I think it was like a Dirty Diana cover that he did like way back in the day. And then he's like, then listen to this. And then like it was before like again Trilogy was out, or like Kissland or whatever. They were all like those
the
EPs,
the tapes or whatever.
It was all those, and I remember listening. I'm like, this is fucking good. And I think that was the second thing they showed me too. It randomly, but this is back with MySpace was a thing. Johnny Craig posted The Birds Part 1.
Oh, that's
and I was like, this sounds great. Like I was like, what is this? And that's when I found The Weeknd. Initially,
marching band drums on that.
I love that
crossover. I never thought would happen.
But that's I know went on a tangent. But yeah, like I listen to mostly just for like vibe of music now, and then I've always been a very like big rhythm. So if something like sounds like it's really, really catchy, like something that caught my attention. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but like I think Fred again was working on like a Dochi.
I've heard that. Yeah,
and it's
crazy. Okay.
So catchy,
with Black Boy Max.
Yeah. And I just caught like a little like clip of like a TikTok where they're working on it together. And again,
I caught that too. And
I don't know what's being said. I just know that like, like I'm like, this sounds fucking incredible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so shit like that is what catches my attention. Yeah.
On the complete other side of the spectrum, that's why I like deathcore a lot. I don't care what they're saying, but I hear a blast beat, my monkey brain goes, ooh, that sounds good.
No, it's what I like, because it's what, again, like I love shit that makes people move into whatever degree. So like bobbing your head, or like if people that mosh, people that dance, people that jump, like all that shit is cool. And most of that stuff is instrumentals. You know what I mean? Like, it's the instruments. It's what again and then it's your bass stuff. So your bass and your drums. Like if that's like solid on your shit, then your song can pretty much do whatever you want.
Your song can sound like garbage, but if you have a really good beat,
I was gonna say
it kind of blends it over.
That's what I've always thought, is that like I'll always listen to music that has a good or just interesting beat. They can have whatever kind of shitty vocals it wants over it. It doesn't matter. I won't listen to a song that has really good vocals and a really bad beat. Like for the most part. Like I won't get into it at least. So
it's just really hard to get over, like unless again if it's like a super like vocally driven song, but it's I think the what do they call it, replay Valley or whatever is mostly stuff that like has a decent like rhythm that I want to listen to the song.
I shouldn't say bad beat. I mean, it's very subjective, right?
Yeah. It's like
what I mean is like uninteresting, not boring beat. Yeah, like just kind of the same thing over and over again, and it's not very rhythmically oriented. Like it's just
then the vocals have to do like a lot of carrying.
Have to do a lot,
and so if they can do that, then like normally I'll listen to it again, but it just depends. Like there's a lot of different factors. But I know I am very bad at listening to like lyrics, like or like going back to listen. And also like I have a bone to pick with most artists. Like you got to put your lyrics up. Like if I happen to want to look it up,
right?
Like then I'm like, oh, they're nowhere to be found. Like so I can't like look. And it's I've told a lot of like the bands like on that I talk to. I'm like, what does this say? Like, because I should be able to just Google it, like or pop up. You know, because like what we did is like we use. I think at the time it was called Rap Genius. Now it's just called Genius. But that's what I put all my stuff on, and I would write my own notes to like songs and be like, "Oh, this line was because of this," or whatever, blah, you know. Because that's normally like where I go to, and the first thing that pops up anytime I look up lyrics, it's like Genius stuff. I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is like the official one," and they let you put your own. I go, "Okay, put your own shit on there," and again, like people have a place to go if they're willing, like if they're wanting to know what you're saying.
The cool thing is also you can put down sources of like, oh, this artist said this about this lyric from here.
Yeah.
So now I can go on Genius and put down Dimension featuring Steve Martinez and says that this lyric was inspired by this.
Yeah.
Gotta realize
this is some horny shit.
This right here is some horny shit. That is, that's why I wrote that last part. Like I was like, how do we make this horny? Yeah. And there was a different version of it, and it was like, oh, this is too on the nose. Like, I was like, this is cringe. Like I want it to feel like it's horny without saying some horny shit. Like okay, I was like, DJ's in the room recording. Like, what? You all right?
Dude, whoa!
Why your shirt off like that?
Where your clothes at?
Where your clothes at?
So good.
Yeah, but no, man. I think the album's super exciting. Like to hear how it's coming along. How do you guys feel like now that how often do you guys see each other? Like this is
so we try to visit once a year at least. Like like once or twice a year. But we honestly, like I was saying before, we're closer since he moved to Texas than when he was in Oregon because we call like all the time.
Like it's like every other day. We'll be on the phone.
And we'll just hop on call like we were saying on Discord and you make music. So like that's kind of like how we've been keeping in touch for
I feel like that way forces you like, okay, we have to do it like on purpose now. It's not like, oh, we live in the same, area, so
we'll do it whenever.
You get the idea of like, oh, well, we'll see each other whenever, you're right there.
The good thing is also is like a result of that is because of the fact that we don't talk every day or we don't see each other. Like I'll make a song for like I'm working on a soundtrack right now, which I brought up a little bit last time, but I'm working on a game soundtrack right now, and I'll make a song, and I'm like, I'll text Jake, I'm like, I gotta show you this song the minute I'm able to, and then after I'll show him the track, he'll be like, okay, well this idea is cool, and then I'll go back into that song and then add to the ideas that he recommended to me, or we'll kind of do production tips, and then he'll send me something, and then I'll help him out with some mixing on something else, and we'll both be anticipating showing each other the music we've been working on independently.
That's cool.
To either collaborate later. Like I know
sometimes he'll be like, send me that, and I'll send him that, and then he'll like do whatever, like he'll do riffs over it and stuff, and then sometimes that becomes a song. That's just how it works.
Crack House.
Crack House is insane. That's a good.
I was like, that's the name of the song.
Sure is.
I thought you were just remembering. So like, oh
the Crack House.
The Crack Flashbacks.
We have a song called Crack House. It's like
So
EDM?
It's a dubstep song that I made, or I was making. That's kind of just insane sounding already. Like it just sounds like really. It's almost anxiety inducing in a way, but I was making that, and I was just trying to get good at making dubstep, and then he was like, send me that, and I was like, okay,
what are you gonna do on it?
Sure, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
And then he made like these riffs over it that are like super wide sounding. And it sounds crazy now. Like it's honestly it's become one of my favorites because it's so unique sounding. Like,
and we finished it and we're like, what genre is this? Because it's just
crack.
Crack.
It's crack.
And the part that makes it sound the way it does is that everything is like a bar long or like whatever. It's a measure long. So it's like it'll go a measure and then
completely
cut back to this pre-drop and then another measure and then another different pre-drop and then another measure. So it's like very specific.
It changes a lot.
There's no transitions. It's just like this is what
happens. Yeah. But
it kind of works like that.
Yeah.
I think we have there's on the Colors project. I think even though I'm not credited.
Yeah, it's one of the songs on Colors, by the way.
Okay.
It's it's my project where like all of the songs on it are previously released, so I'm releasing them one by one, and then I'm just gonna release the album with them all on it. So that's basically all it is.
But I think on the singles that he has out, I think I'm on I technically have done mixing or production in some regard.
Yeah.
On 5 of them, not primarily. It's still him, 90% of it. But I know Novocaine, I did some weird production on it.
Novocaine would not be what it is now without him.
Retromatic, I didn't. That one
did a little section with guitars in the middle, like a bridge section.
Yeah,
and it's really cool. It's my favorite part of the whole song. But
I think Missing Out, I think I did a little bit on it also.
Yeah.
So most of the songs on it are I'll go in, hop on call with him, and he's like, "Oh, I like the song a lot." I want to show you the song I'm working on. He'll show me basically a finished track, and I'm like, "I really think you should add some delay to this part right here." I'm like, "Can you just invite me to the session and I can work on it and I can go in and change it?" And he's like, "Okay, I like that." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna listen to this and I'll try painting this." And by try, I mean I'm gonna do this. And if you like it, you can record it. And that's at least 5 or 6 of the songs on the EP or album.
Pretty much 90% of our music is collaborative.
Collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Because he'll even his own music, he'll show me it, and I'll be like, I really like this, but if it was structured slightly different, then it would sound really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just hear what it could sound like in my head, and then I'll be like, this, I'll try to say what it, in musical terms or whatever, what he should do, but I don't know the terminology for it, so I'll just be like, dude,
try this.
Do this.
So I have a question for you actually. What do you say? Because right now we're doing Colors and Artificial Energy, which are 2 whole different vibes.
Yeah.
What were your top albums of this year and the last year that kind of got you to want to work on stuff like this?
Well,
were there any inspirations from your top albums?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of it is the Loathe album for sure. I Let It In and It Took Everything. A lot of that's from there, and then the Quadec album that I brought up earlier has just been inspiring for the entire time it's been out, pretty much. But just I've been listening to a lot of dubstep, lo-fi stuff. It's halftime dubstep, so it's very rhythmic. It sounds like a hip hop beat, but it's got dubstep stuff in it. Yeah, pretty much. So a lot of that has been inspiring on Colors. I've kind of tried to make music that sounds exactly like that. Novocaine is super inspired by JPEG Mafia type.
It sounds like a JPEG Mafia
style, because of the clicky percussion.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's what I was super inspired by. So that song has a lot of that in there. But what for the new record? It's kind of I don't know. I feel like I've been kind of just bouncing off of the ideas that we've already had and just working off of that. But yeah, pretty much.
I know you said Eden by Sleep Token was one.
Yeah,
of them,
there's a couple songs off of Take Me Back to Eden that were super inspiring, like Aqua Regia, and then
for Waves, for example.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
There's
Rain is a pretty good inspiration for.
That's been
some of them.
Peak.
What were the ones I said? I said recently that I was this. By the way, this song is completely inspired by this thing. Ooh. I don't remember it all though.
I'm trying to think. I know that a lot of it was probably the older stuff. I don't think it was off of Eden because nothing's that heavy off of.
Oh, Nazareth is. Yeah.
Nazareth, that's my favorite song.
It just comes back to that.
Nazareth's fucking sick. Yeah.
I was talking to him
just the chords are the what is it, an organ or something?
Like the jazz piano.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that is just that by itself is super inspiring. I've been trying to write stuff that sounds like that.
I was gonna say, when the new album comes out on his birthday, even in Arcadia.
Oh yeah. Not our album.
Not our album. Not that soon. We have way too long.
Not done.
Work on it. But I can already tell that this is gonna be an album that I'm gonna be probably obsessed with, and you probably won't. Anyone who follows me on Instagram,
it's probably gonna be my favorite album for a little while.
Get ready to hear me be really annoying about this for a really long time. And I'll probably be sending all of my friends who don't listen to Sleep Token, listen to this song. listen to this one right now.
Yeah.
Listen to this one right now.
Right now.
I can already tell I'm probably realistically gonna get like the house Viridian, like the little feather. I want to get like something like a tattoo of it already. I can feel it in my bones. I need that tattoo. But yeah, Eden and This Place Will Become Your Tomb have been 2 albums.
Yeah, I've been really loving that.
Descending as well. What song was it that Descending was inspired by?
Oh,
or
wait,
inspired and descended by?
Recent one, right? Or is it?
Was it Now? Was it that song? I know the idea.
We had a lot of like just the little part in Descending where it's like like the
weird little synth break.
Bass and the synth, go up.
Oh, I fucking love that. But
yeah. That song is super inspiring for like everything I've made, basically. Because it's like a perfect mix of the like just atmospheric, dark sounding like metalcore stuff, but it's not really metalcore. It's just in the same sort of vein.
Yeah.
And then it's completely like electronic and EDM beat. So it's like
that song so bad right now.
We're gonna leave and we're gonna listen to all of it.
No, This Place Will Become Your Tomb is my like calming my brain album. Like if I'm bouncing all over the place, I'll start that. Like the way was it Atlantic starts?
Yeah, Atlantic, yeah.
And then I just, if I get through Atlantic, like the whole song, then I'm like, cool, I'm set. Like I'll listen to the whole album, and I'm just like, my brain's like chill.
Resets.
Yeah. Man, thank you for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Let me know any help that I can help with, like the album. Both. Like if you have stuff that you want to help promote with yours, I can do that too. I love the dynamic that you two have. Like I said, at first I just knew it like from hearing it from Nick, but like seeing even the way you guys talk to each other here, but seeing like the journey and like how it keeps going and how pretty much everything is collaborative. Like you guys are almost the first people you want to send like songs to be like, hey, check this out.
For sure.
That's so cool. It's inspiring. It's very like motivating and also like heartwarming. Like all these things. Like it makes. Like that's the reason like we make music, you know what I mean? Like for that feeling, to be excited to like share like what you create. And it's just really like a wonderful thing. And I love that you guys have that together and you write some cool shit together, you know what I mean? And then like, I'm glad that, you guys let me be a small part in that. And I can't wait. I can't wait to hear the entire album when it comes out and fully comes out. But yeah, anything additional you guys want to talk about?
I feel like is there anything you want to promote? Because I have a couple things I want to say, but I want to steal your...
I was going to ask you if you want to be on an EDM song by chance.
All right.
Because you said it, let me know if there's anything. But I was like, I don't know.
We can work on something.
I just meant like for colors if you want to...
if you got an idea, if you want to send it away,
we'll figure something
Anyways, sorry. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but...
Where can people find you on wherever you
it's... Is it hyphen? Yeah, hyphen, all caps, Reflex, hyphen, because Reflex was already taken. So
if you Google my name, his will be in the recommended.
His is way easier to find.
Nick Rilund. So your music account is Reflex Music?
Yeah. Reflex _music.
Yep.
I think.
My @ is Nick Rilund Music on Instagram. I think also Twitter. I don't use Twitter at all. I only really use Instagram and TikTok. If you live on the East Coast, if you live in Atlanta, Augusta, New Kensington, Pennsylvania, Charlotte, North Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. I'm doing this out of order. Virginia Beach, Virginia.
I see you pull up the flag.
Detroit, Michigan, and Chicago, and Huntington, West Virginia. Go see. I'll be on tour. I'll be driving for a band called Enthronement. So come meet me if you live in any of those cities. And then also come or go listen to our music on Spotify. That's the more important thing. We just released Neurochemistry. Well, not just released, like 4 months ago. We released Neurochemistry, which is probably one of my favorite songs off the album. Go listen to that whole EP of the 4 songs that are on there. Caleb Mendes, Dog of Judah. We will be dropping Artificial Energy at some point. We're working out the logistics of everything right now.
Kind of difficult recently.
Yeah.
A lot of developments. We kind of had a complete switch up on. We were gonna release the album Halloween of last year.
I remember.
Only instrumental. We're gonna do basically have 2 features and only instrumental, and then Mar wanted to do vocals on a couple songs, and AZ did vocals on a song, and then we made Waves and Dimension. And, we asked different people to be on those, and we also had Hollow we wanted to have vocals on, and then all these songs that we kept building up and building up and building up, and we're like, okay.
Kind of made a decision that was we'd rather be this be as good as possible than like try to rush it, because there's no reason for us to rush it. Like,
we're not backed by a label or anything.
We're not like, we're not very big, so it's like there's not many that's not a whole lot of people just like super anxious for this project to come out, so there's not really a reason to rush it.
So it might come out this year, hopefully. I'd like it to, but it's already been about 2 years.
It is kind of frustrating working on an album for over a year, and like everything that you made at the start of it is different from what you're doing now. So
patience is a virtue. I'll say that.
Especially the way y'all write and like writing new shit like
constantly,
so
dude.
Constantly,
oh my god, I'm sitting on 60 unreleased songs. 60.
I mean, I'm sitting on a lot of ideas, and probably more than that of actual like, full fleshed out songs, but they're a lot easier for me to make. So.
True. But no, again, thank you guys for stopping by. I'm glad we can make this work while you were in town.
Thank you for it was so last moment.
So we made it work. But this has been episode 140 with Nick and Jacob, aka Reflex, and
Nick Rilund.
Nick Rilund Music. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next time.
I don't wanna be alone tonight. Leaving touch on the